by saying last night I had the most extraordinary experience in Marseille. It was just incredible. And not only the concert, but the issue with the young artists coming in at the end. And I'm surprised I can't see a blue hand today. But let that be a small picture of how transition of music through a location like Versailles all of a sudden transmits into the young generation. This is what the future is about. And we should never, ever forget that we carry the responsibility for the next generations to take the legacy that we have today and translate it through us into the future. This is where we're coming from, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. Now, that, of course, is a possibility to recreate the past through the present. It is the possibility of actually making the present present. And it's the present perception of a possible future. And these things have to come together in creating spaces, in creating architecture, landscapes. In this most incredible location, the building itself needs to be the tool for its content. Architecture alone is nothing. There is no such thing as architecture for the sake of architecture. There is only architecture for the users, for the people, for the environment, for the location where you are located. Make no mistake, the next generation of architects will understand this better than my generation. Now, based on that, of course, what we're doing for the moment is to try to create a new typology of architecture which combines the research elements that we've heard about, the new Gesamtkunstwerk understanding of how things should be. And I'm not surprised that this initiative is coming from the world of music, because we've tried cross-pollination in so many different environments, and it only turned out to work when we work with people out of the world of music. And I have to tell you, I think it's because they already know the global language. They have it embedded in their genes. They understand exactly what we do. And there are so many different types of ways of interpreting local wishes, local ways of dealing with things. So in this beautiful location, we have the diversity of things that we want to approach through a landscaped art of building, which in itself translates its location from the Seine into the landscape as part of the architecture. Even if you have to provide the functions of the public inside and the research elements, the front of house and the back of house elements, all of these have to blend back in, as we've seen from the master plan, into a perfect landscape situation. This is just the way it needs to be today. If we cannot interpret architecture in this manner, there is also no further development, because today we still have to remember that architecture is about social sustainability. It is about environmental sustainability, and it's about economical sustainability. And if we can manage all these things combined in a center that takes this advantage of being broad, understanding, transpositional, then we can actually create also new architectural typologies. I'm so honored and so grateful, Åge, to be here to make sure that these things can happen in the design. We're just at the starting point for the moment to see how these things can evolve and how they can develop. But also remember, and I'm not talking about the architecture, as you can hear, because the architecture per se must at some point talk for itself. It must be the embedded understanding of the program, of the site, of the location itself. And I think in the end, also, if we look at what architecture could do, talking about the social environmental aspect is creating openness, creating accessibility to exactly this point of view. Openness is at the core. And that's why we call architecture the art of prepositions, because everything is located to where your body is. Everything is related to what you see and how you experience yourself. Remember that your own horizon is always where your eyes are. And everyone has a different horizon, depending on height, depending on location. And all these things come together in architecture, and we have long experience in dealing with this, in small buildings like this one, or throughout the world in our different locations, spanning from Adelaide in Australia through Norway. I feel totally humble coming from a small place like Norway. I think Grieg was the only one who's been to Bougival before. It really doesn't give the impact of a Norwegian society being a huge cultural society. But we're working on it. We're working on it. Like the library in Alexandria, which was the first big project of ours. The Ground Zero Memorial Pavilion in New York, which is all about the ABCs of psychology, affect, behavior, and cognition. Or the Opera House in Oslo, which is really trying to translate the elements of things which we are also searching now at Bougival. It's about people. It's about the tool of architecture. It's the way we promote the music. It's how we rehearse together. How architecture is explaining itself through the processes that we're dealing with. How the ballet dancers actually have a view towards the fjord while they're dancing. It's about opera houses like here in Germany. It's about performance areas. It's about being seen. It's about seeing. It's about portraying this in other locations in the world, like here, the new opera house in Shanghai, which is under construction for the moment. Or like the Lascaux Centre in Lascaux, which is a new interpretation of the present. All these things ending up with office spaces like Le Monde here in Paris. For the next, the Nanterre Amandia Theatre, which we're rebuilding for the moment. All these things makes me believe that in times like these, today, the way the world looks, architecture is not the healer, but it's a tool that can help through space, through time, and in the way we bring people together if we do the right things in the future. Thank you.